The construction industry is one of the most complex industries in the entire world, with everything from change orders and project defects to properly bidding projects and keeping your accounting. It's time someone had a serious conversation about these things. You are now watching Ken's Construction Combos.
Roger, I appreciate you coming out and doing the show. Like I said, man, I reached out to you because I know you got a whole lot going on, and I feel like this episode is actually perfect for you because it's all about public jobs and public contracts. So I think that it's going to add a lot of value. I think we'll be able to kind of help some people out a lot, and that's what it's all about for me, is just trying to make sure we add value, make sure we're helping people out. So why don't you just go ahead and introduce yourself, and then we'll kind of go from there just with some questions and just get a conversation started.
Absolutely. All right, Kenneth, I appreciate the opportunity to come and talk to you and discuss these topics, public works. My company is Emerald Standard Services, Electrical Contractors and Engineers. We're a licensed, fully bonded, insured electrical contractor here in Houston. Been operating for the last 16 years. The company was started by my father, and I've pretty much been running the day-to-day operations ever since.
Okay.
Of course, before that, our background goes into the electrical construction business and the oil and gas side of things in South America. Going back to the late 1970s, as a matter of fact. But yeah, so locally here in Houston, we've been since 2002, and our primary focus, we set up the business, and pretty quickly we got into the public domain of things, doing mud district water plants, then got into some metro work, City of Houston, Port of Houston, things of that nature.
So kind of the whole gambit of the different public works things out here in the Houston area.
Correct. I mean, Houston is huge company, a huge city with oil and gas is the main driver, but everything else trickles from that. So
Gotcha.
most recently, like you're saying, I've been very busy. There's a big water plant expansion going on right now, and we're fortunate to be part of that right now. Northeast Water Plant expansion project, and also we're working at the Texas Southern University. They're putting a new library and student center. We're working with that. We're very proud. It's a new 6-story, 180,000 square foot library. Oh yeah, it's a good, nice
That's my
library.
alma mater. I'm proud of them.
All right,
Awesome.
I was just there last week. It's up to like the 3rd level. It's supposed to open in late spring and all that. So we're very proud of our involvement. With the government agencies, public universities, the hospital. We just finished a parking garage with UTMB Lake City, for example. So and also, we have experience dealing with the hospital systems and all that.
What are some of the landmines on the public side that you think you might need to look out for?
So the main thing is, your paperwork needs to be kept straight. These fellow contractors that focus on the private little jobs, they got their friend and quick turnaround, all that. That's fine, dandy, and they tend to keep less paperwork. There's a bit of several tens of thousands of dollars worth of business I know get done on handshakes and people in continuity of business. But you never know when that buddy of yours or whatever, all of a sudden one day is gonna disappear, or something's gonna happen, right? His wife is gonna file for a divorce, or the guy's gonna have a major heart attack, and all of a sudden things can fall apart. On the public sector, relationships matter too. Establishing, getting to know the general contractors, know that you can perform. But at the end of the day, it's about the paperwork and having all the ducks in a row. Like you were saying, all this work is bonded. Well, it's bonded, but you gotta make sure you file your notices and your bond notices. Very similar to like the liens in the private sector.
Exactly.
But in this case, there'll be a bond against a surety, and there's all kinds of, I wouldn't say games, but like, ebbs and flows to that. So make sure your back office, is prepared to do that.
That's a big one. I mean, you see a lot, and I think you kind of hinted at that earlier when you were talking about the relationships with the, like on the private side, sometimes relationships kind of things happen. There's handshake deals. I mean, as an attorney, that drives me absolutely nuts. I mean, the lack of paperwork, the lack of people having their back house in order. Come in, and I'm trying to save them on the eve of the problem blowing up because they don't have all their paperwork in order. So that is a big one. I think that, and I know we're talking about some of the pitfalls, and we'll get back to it in just a minute, but one of the key things that you pointed out was just the bonding situation. I think that, the bond requirements are similar to the lien requirements, but the difference is, when a project is bonded, when it's a government project and it's bonded, there's a surety involved. And we already know the surety has deep pockets. They can pay it, right? On the lien side, on the private side, when a lien's filed, in a perfect world, that lien is going to, be perfected against the property, and you should get paid. But a lot of times you got to go through and enforce that lien. You got to foreclose and all that different stuff. Whereas when you're dealing with the surety, a lot of times the surety is going to make sure you get paid. So, for those that don't know, what you probably want to do is if you're on a public job, you want to make sure that you do file that bond claim on time, and that you then leverage that bond claim against whoever's supposed to be paying you. You make the surety company put the squeeze on the contractor. So that's kind of how that that interplay works for those of you that may not do a lot of public work. So yeah.
All right.
I want to ask you a question. I want to transition a little bit. I'm going to talk to you about like bidding on projects.
Yes.
You see, you've been in business since you said 2002, right?
Yes, sir.
So I mean, it's been a long time. Your company seems to be doing really well. You're working on some of these larger projects in the area. I want to know, do you have any tips? I don't have to give away any of your secrets, but kind of any just general tips for somebody that may just begin started looking at trying to bid on one of these projects. How can they, be successful in bidding these projects? What should they know?
Yeah. Now it's like all online. It's like you can go visit the City of Houston's website, Metros, Harris County, Fort Bend County. Think of it, you name it, they're going to have a procurement. You can just Google, X entity procurement, and you're going to find a link and all that. Number one. Number two is that you got to network and get yourself out there. Minority Supply Diversity Council. You got National Association of Minority Contractors. We have mixers every month. You got the Greater Houston Business Procurement Forum with Milton and those guys. There's always people out there, and guess what? You just gotta allocate the time to go to these events. I don't have time to pursue 20, 30, 40 GCs. So I've got that list and I pared it down. Okay, these are my top 5, 10, 15, and I just focus on those.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
Then call the estimator, call the PMs, and all that. So you start bidding, start small, don't get too aggressive, figure out what you can do, and start calling on these people, give them bids. GCs, they want to take bids.
It sounds like you've kind of got a good little working system there. I want to transition, talk to you a little bit too about the MBEs.
Yes.
MBEs and WBEs. You mentioned that there's HMSDC, there's NAMAC. How much have you benefited from these different organizations and these different certifications? And do you think that it's worth it, or it's a good idea for a minority-owned business or a woman-owned business to go ahead and get those certifications? Do you feel like it does help, give you a leg up or even the odds?
So, if you're going to work in the public sector, it's definitely worth it. Also, in the private sector, large corporations, it is also worthwhile. Like I said, when I say large, I'm talking about the Exxon, Shells, the HEBs, because they already got well-developed, diversity, supply diversity programs and all that.
Funny story about minority certification. So we are a certified minority-owned law firm through HMSDC. But I tell you, I had the hardest time getting certified. This is my first time doing anything like it, like submitting my certification. Well, to prove your minority status, obviously they ask you for a birth certificate. So I have a birth certificate, but I'm originally from Florida. I submit my birth certificate, and then I realize that, or they make me realize that there's no ethnicity on the birth certificate. So I, call out to Florida and I'm like, I need my full birth certificate. They call it the book copy that has the ethnicity on it. Well, come to find out, when I was born, I guess in the 80s in Florida, they stopped they stopped recording your ethnicity. So I'm like, okay. So then I figure, request my dad's, because I called them and they say, you got to request your dad's or your mom's and kind of show the chain. So I requested their birth certificates. We look, there's no ethnicity on that either. So I call and I'm like, look at my picture, what I'm saying? I'm like, clearly. But they were like, no, you got to send us a birth. So I had to get my grandmother's birth certificate. So when I submitted my application, I had my grandmother, my father, and then my birth certificate on the application. So I thought that was kind of funny because it took me a while to get that certification. But anyway, I appreciate it, Roger. Why don't you tell people how to get in touch with you if they, maybe if they have any questions, any follow-ups, or maybe they want to get with you about some different opportunities,
Sure. I can be reached at 713-473-1000. That's our main number at our office. Also www.emerald-standard.com. And of course, also most equally important is I'm also on NAMEC, National Association of Minority Contractors. So I highly encourage all diverse contractors to come to one of our mixers to start talking to us, and you'll get to meet a lot of interesting people, fellow contractors, a lot of prime contractor, large government agencies, highway people, Metro, City of Houston, the airport, they're always out there. So you can go to NAMCTexas.org, that's NAMECTexas.org, NAMC, National Association of Minority Contractors. You can also look us up at LinkedIn or Facebook nowadays.
Exactly.
I find that there's
social media.
It's just easier to interact, So we're on the social media. If you like Facebook, if you like LinkedIn, I prefer LinkedIn. I found a lot of value in it. In NAMEC Houston, Greater Houston chapter, something like that. You can just search it in LinkedIn, and you're gonna find our profile, and you can add us, and then you can start a conversation. We're always posting information there that's far more interactive than our webpage and all that. So.
Good.
Once again, Kenneth, I really appreciate it. It was great.
It's no problem. I appreciate everybody for watching. If you got any questions for me, feel free to reach out. If you got any, comments, anything where you think, the next show you might want to see me cover that or whatever. Of course, I'm always interested in that, so you can, hit me up about it. And as always, happy building to you, and definitely join the convo. Don't just watch it. I want to kind of get some feedback from you. So let me know what you think about the new show format. Get in the comments. Send me some messages, and look forward to the next one.
Introduced